Kamala Harris has been ripping out some pretty devastating ads here on Reels on Instagram. So we'll go ahead and watch a couple of these and give some thoughts here. So let's start with this one.
He says, "You're not going to be a dictator, are you?" I said, "No, no, no, other than day one. It's going to be a bloodbath."
Sometimes revenge can be justified.
4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. They'll walk into your kitchen. They'll cut your throat. You had one really violent day, one rough hour, and I mean real rough.
I've been talking about World War III for a long time.
He
So
says, "You."
definitely going with the scare tactics ad style there. The crazy thing is that these are all, I mean, obviously, as you can see, things that Trump is just literally saying. I will be honest, there are a couple of misleading, sort of out of context quotes here, and I want to go ahead and explain these. But overall, just a really devastating, I think, an ad that works because they are things that Trump just actually says, right? He is obsessed with like violence and this idea of being a dictator on day one and an hour or a day of violence, like calling for the purge and things. So his tendencies are towards this authoritarian nature. We've known this, or people that know this know this. I want to just take a step and go step by step with some of the things that he said. Again, some of them are legit, but I want to point out where some of these are just taken a bit out of context. But let's go ahead.
You're not going to be a dictator, are you? I said, "No, no, no, other than day one."
So that part that you just can't argue with. I mean, he just literally said, "I'm going to be a dictator on day one." What he means by that, he'll say, "Oh no, I just mean I'm going to get things done really aggressively, and that's what I mean by dictator." But when you have a guy like Trump, whose natural tendency is towards dictatorial nature, you just cannot give him the benefit of the doubt. So absolutely terrifying. We don't know what that means, and yeah, so not good.
It's going to be a bloodbath.
That's one of the ones that is definitely taken out of context because I went and looked at um the full dialogue there from Trump. He was using like an economic term to mean bloodbath and like it's going to be bad for the industry. So yeah, if you're Trump, you got to be careful with saying things like that because you know what the perception is. But again, that was taken out of context, and I know he didn't necessarily mean that that time. So.
Sometimes revenge can be justified.
4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians.
Again, this one is a bit taken out of context and Trump just not being completely clear with his intentions. But again, he doesn't really get the benefit of the doubt because he's already done things like January 6th and the big lie and trying to overturn the election. So we just can't fuck around with these things. What Trump had meant in this particular instance was that I'm going to do such a good job that you won't even need to vote for me or anybody anymore because everything's going to be fixed. So just another one of these grandiose promises that Trump's not going to keep. Obviously, you can interpret that in the way that what does he mean? He's going to shut down the elections. We're not going to be able to vote anymore. So yeah, just not good rhetoric from Trump again, but also taken out of context for the purposes of this ad.
They'll walk into your kitchen. They'll cut your throat. You had one really violent day, one rough hour, and I'm
Now this, he's just literally calling for the purge. So I don't know. That didn't get as much coverage as I thought it would, but this guy's just absolutely out of his mind.
being real rough.
I've been talking about World War III for a long time.
And Trump absolutely obsessed with World War III. And if you had to ask me, we are at a much greater risk of World War III with Donald Trump in office with instead of the steady hand of Kamala Harris. Yeah, you could argue that Joe Biden has really dropped the ball and he's really not present anymore, letting Netanyahu ravage the Middle East and causing all kinds of problems and conflict and trying to drag us into war with Iran. So that's not good, but hopefully Kamala would be able to steer the ship in another direction. I can guarantee you that Trump would be worse for the situation, more violence, more death in the Middle East, and more of a green light to Israel and Netanyahu to do whatever they want. So, yeah, at the end of the day, a really scary ad, really powerful ad. I just wonder who is that going to be reaching? And that's the question that I don't know. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.